Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Michael Oskam with ProWestRecording.com, and I'm going to show you a really cool video today. I'm going to show you how I start to process a vocal track. Some of the techniques I'm going to go over, maybe you're familiar with. I'm not so sure. It depends. If you're an audio nerd like myself and so many others out there, then maybe you've read about some of these techniques, but you've never actually seen them applied in person or in front of you. And a lot of people out there learn by doing and by watching as opposed to, say, reading. I think as I start to apply some of these techniques, it'll start to make sense to you. And hopefully it'll inspire you to incorporate some of this into your own projects. Here we're working with Logic Pro X today. I was a Logic Pro 9 user. And I recently got X, and I gotta say I love it. So we're working in Logic Pro X today. As you can see, it's a really small session. I just kind of threw it together for the purposes of this tutorial. This part right here is a vocal part that I just captured, and don't judge the music unless you really love it. We're just going to go with it for the sake of what I'm going to show you today. So let's do this. First, let's take a listen to what we got going on here. And this is completely dry. The vocal is completely dry.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
And it's also without any effects, and it hasn't been pitch shifted. This is just a one take type thing here. So my first step always in processing a vocal is I want to tune it. I don't care if you're the best singer in the world, you're gonna miss a note here and there. And I would like total vocal control. So you can control inflection and things like that. A lot of you know that flex pitch exists within Logic Pro X, and I think for quick touches it's fantastic, but not nearly as fantastic as Melodyne. The technology isn't quite there. If you've never used Melodyne, get Melodyne. That's all I have to say about that. So first things first is I capture my vocal into Melodyne. So that's what we're looking at here. And if you've never used Melodyne, you'll notice these orange blobs. These are like the wave forms. They're actually called blobs. And so here we can listen to the vocal on its own.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
And because it's bounced into, or excuse me, transferred into Melodyne, it will not play back unless you have some sort of rewire setup, which maybe you do, and then it'll play back with the music. But if you're while editing, it will not play back. Now, Studio One has Melodyne integrated into it. I use Studio One for vocals too sometimes, and that's really cool. The Melodyne integration is great. I'm using Melodyne Assistant. You can use any version of Melodyne, but starting with Assistant and going up is where you'll have specific tools. If you go below to Essential or one of those, then you won't have a lot of these tools over here. And I'll get into these just a little bit. So let's start with the vocal here. First thing I like to do is just make sure it's in key. So I'm going to go ahead and select all, come up here to correct pitch, and we'll start to slide it over. And I'll start it at 100%. And you can snap it to the key if you want. I choose not to do that because depending on the singer, I know my singing style, and I like to sing a lot of vocal runs with maybe some different notation in there that may not fit to the key, but it's up to you. So let's click OK, and let's just listen to this first part again.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
It's pretty good. It just kind of snapped everything to where it was already. Now, you'll notice here that these lines here, these represent the kind of the inflection in the voice, the vibrato, what have you. This note, as you can see, it probably could have been transferred into Melodyne and captured as two notes, but it was captured as one note. And because of this rise in pitch, it's actually making the note sharp. So there's a bunch of options that you can do here. This song is kind of electronic, right? So real quick, if you want to just get that really electronic sound, like T-Pain and those guys, you come over to this tool here and switch to the pitch modulation tool. When you have everything selected, don't go ahead and double click a blob, and it flattens the modulation, and now you'll have that robotic sound.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flame.
And as you can see, this note was out of place. So you can come back to this tool and bring it down, and now it should.
Hard, but you're going down in flames.
Now, what I like to do here is I like to, or actually, what I'm going to try to do for this first part is I'm going to try layering this vocal. So one of them, um, let me go back here. I'm going to duplicate this with the plugin and everything, and the audio already captured in. And so now I'll come in here, go back into this Melodyne, and I'm going to undo the last two moves. I'm going to leave it not so robotic. This one I am going to make robotic. So you'll notice, for the sake of knowing where I am, I can copy this this region down, but you don't have to because it's already captured in the Melodyne here. This is the identical performance. So as you can see, this one has just the straight notes. So we can go through and
Playing your part, losing all the games. Taking your heart, loving all the pain. Lower your guard, then watch me go insane.
okay, cool. So let's just mute that for now. We're going to deal with that much later, but I wanted to get it out of the way for the time being. So now I want to pay attention to one thing here, guys. I have done nothing with the breaths, and breath is very important in a pop track. Especially, you see, I should have stripped silence and gotten rid of all this dead space in between. You can probably hear a little headphone bleed and stuff. And then my breaths are important. For the sake of timing, I'm not going to go into the breaths, but that does take some time. The cool thing about Melodyne is once it's in here, you can edit this audio, not only the pitch of it, but you can edit the actual breaths and whatnot. And so you'll see this lead up right here. I can actually ditch this. This probably includes the breath. Yeah, you see that little lead in? I can get rid of it, and now it'll just come in right
Trying so hard.
on the T. This is the dead space between that. I can get rid of that too. Yep. And so you can go through and clean it up really easily that way. And then there's an Amplitude tool within Melodyne as well. By the way, a quick tip too is right-clicking brings up your tools menu as opposed to having to come up here the whole time. So if I right-click, I can go into this Amplitude tool here. And let's say I have a too harsh of a consonant or an S.
Playing your part.
Like that P, I kind of hit the P hard, right?
Playing.
So first you want to come in here. In this case, I would use the note separation tool, and I would chop off the first part, which is the plosive. And now come into my Amplitude tool, and I would turn down the P.
Playing your.
Come down even more than that.
Playing your part.
Well, now that just sounds goofy. I didn't cut it in the right place.
Playing your part.
So you get the idea. Now, for the sake of this too, like I said, I'm going to leave a lot of the inflection, but I am going to flatten it a little bit just to get rid of some of these pitch problems.
So.
And maybe just this.
So. Trying so hard, but you're going down.
This note is wrong, as we already uncovered. And
trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
See, because I sang it with so much vibrato that it kind of takes it out of key. But we're not getting to that robotic stage yet. I don't want to get it there with this take. So this is all maintenance, okay? So let's assume now that we're happy with this whole take as far as that's concerned. Let's go into some plugins. There's so many different options when dealing with plugins, whether they're stock plugins that come with your DAW or if you've bought a bundle. Some of my other videos, I go into some plugins. I'm going to go into some go-to routing and plugins that I use for a vocal. And you can use stock plugins, and obviously you need to determine which settings are best for whatever it is you're doing. But the signal chain is important to follow. So Melodyne in this case has obviously become, has become my playback. Okay, so think of it as my tape machine, so to speak. That's where my audio is playing out of. So now the signal chain obviously is going to be working from top to bottom. So the first thing I like to throw in there, believe it or not, is a the vocal writer. And if you've never used this, you may want to look into getting it. It's kind of expensive, but for what it does, it's worth it. This is one of those things. Maybe you read a magazine or different publication, and you'll see screenshots of people who have worked on particular projects, and you'll see the vocal, and you'll see just ridiculous amounts of automation drawn into the volume of the vocal part. And so this plugin will write some of that automation so as to give me a good starting point. Now, you don't need the plugin to do this, but if you want to save, I don't know, 8 hours, maybe this plugin is worth it for you. And the reason it's here in the signal chain is because I'm later going to be adding compression and stuff like that. As we all know by now, compression, the object of compression is to shrink the dynamic range. That way we can boost the overall performance so that it sits well. The vocal rider is not a compressor. It doesn't add any sort of coloration like other compressors do, but it will help in leveling out the overall volume of a track. That way, by the time the signal gets to a compressor, the compressor isn't working overtime with ridiculous transients. Okay, giving a much smoother vocal. So in this case here, we have this vocal writer, and I'm going to just set it to a preset called moderate writing. And this is going to take some trial and error because you're going to have to set think of it like a compressor's threshold, but it's not. It's this range as to how far this fader will attenuate or amplify the signal, obviously, and then with a maximum output level. You're going to see the level reading here, and with this little fader, this is essentially the range. It's the same thing. If the signal is underneath the range, the fader will come up and it'll boost the signal. If the signal is hotter than this range, the fader will come down and attenuate the signal, giving it a smoother performance. I'm using smooth automation. It has a smooth uh, motion to it. And once I get it set to where I want it, this plugin actually allows me to write the automation into my track. So let's take a listen and see how this particular setting, this is just a preset, let's see how it sounds.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
I mean, that's a good start.
Try-
It may be a little hot. I'm going to bring down its output a little bit because I want some headroom coming into my other plugins.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Okay, so let's just say that's good for now. So I'm going to switch this to write, and we'll come in here and write it. And just so we can see the moves in Logic, Pro Tools, this works differently. In Logic here, you're going to come in, you're going to want to make sure that automation is on, your automation lanes are on by pressing A, and then you're going to come in here and you're going to go to Vocal Writer and Writer Fader. Now this is my Writer Fader lane, and this is switched to write. You want to make sure that your DAW is also switched to write. It can be in latch or touch, but I'm going to put it in write for now. Yeah, and that's just saying, hey, you're going to be writing. And go.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Cool.
Playing your part, losing all the games.
And it's really working.
Taking your heart, loving all the pain.
Oh, there's some bleed. Cool.
Lower your guard, then watch me go insane.
Cool. So that's a good start. Now, now you want to make sure that you switch this plugin to read, and you also want to make sure you switch your DAW back to read. And now it's going to read this vocal line.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Pretty cool, right? It's already really leveled out the track, so I can be using my compressor for coloration and things like that. Obviously, I would go in here and tweak this to get it to be right. The signal came in really hot, so it's actually pushing down a lot of this. But for now, I'm going to leave it for the sake of time. If you want to drop me a comment, by the way, Pro Tools has something called thin automation, which will kind of eliminate redundant automation points. and I wish that Logic Pro X had something like that. Maybe it does. I've put some looking into it. Anyway, if you know how to do that with a shortcut or something, drop me a line. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's assume then that I've gone in here and tweaked this to the best of my ability to get it to sound the way I want. Next in my signal path, I'm going to put in some EQ. And I'm only going to be cutting with this EQ. So I have a bunch of EQs that I like to use. But since I'm only going to be taking away, I can get away with using a stock EQ because I'm not going to be adding any sort of harmonic content or anything like that. So usually this was tracked with a high pass filter on it, but just to be extra sure, I'm going to roll off everything. You probably want to do this while listening to it. I like anywhere between 100 hertz and 120, somewhere in there is where I want my roll off to start. 24 dB per octave is good.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Actually, 150 sounds good there. A good rule of thumb is to just, as with EQing a lot of things, bring it up until it starts to affect the sound, until you can audibly hear the difference, and then back it off. That's where you'd pretty much want to leave it. If you can't hear it making a difference, then all of this frequency content is not necessary. It's just going to muddle up your low end. So, and then what I want to do too is I want to find any sort of frequency that's kind of honking at me or sticking out.
Trying so.
It's usually in the low mid range. So we're going to go ahead and have a narrow Q here. And we're going to boost and sweep. So let's do that.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
And I know my voice.
Trying so hard, but you're.
My voice always.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so.
My voice always has some sort of weirdness between 200 and 250. So the more you start to record and mix your own stuff, the more you'll get to know your voice. So I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to drop it about 5 or 6 dB and kind of spread this Q out a little bit. If my computer would react, that'd be cool. There we go.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Now, I don't like to, like I said, I don't like to boost anything at this point. I'm just getting rid of it. Now, sometimes there's some harshness up in the 2.5 K range. And so let's take a listen.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're.
Yeah, around 27 there starts to sound kind of crummy too. So I'm going to drop that about 3.5 dB. Spread the Q out a little bit. So that's it. That's it for now. We're just getting rid of some problem frequencies that will. The reason that you want to do it this way, and some people argue the opposite, but my argument is look, next stage for me is going to be compression, okay? So I don't want to be boosting any frequencies because the compressor will just further color the frequencies that I don't want. Okay, so a plugin that I would use if I wasn't using that, by the way, in Logic or the Logic EQ would then be the R channel. And the reason I would use the R channel is because it has both the compressor and the EQ built into it. And since I'm only cutting with that, I could cut the frequencies and compress a little bit. Now, I like to put 2 compressors on my vocals, and some people find that strange, and I'll tell you why. But in this case, I'm going to be using just the R comp because I didn't use the channel strip. I guess we can use RVOX. That'd make more sense. So this, my main go-to compressor for vocals is the LA2A, the CLA2A, which I'm going to put on the chain next. But I like to Dave Pensado uses this term sometimes. I like to pre-bake my stuff before I get it to where I really want. So this is just, again, going to be a light touch for some, just for some leveling before we start coloring.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Oh, it's gating. Did I choose the wrong thing? I'm like, what is wrong with this? Okay. Rewind. Pretend I'm not an idiot for a second. Okay. My system's being goofy. Let's just use the arc. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Okay. Pretend that didn't happen. So, let's do this. Let's do it again.
Trying so.
I'm going to use a low ratio, maybe 2.5 to 1. Somewhere in there.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in.
That's it, basically. I just want it to touch. You can see it's knocking off about 3 dB at the most.
Trying so hard, but you're going down.
And it's a real simple EQ, or compression technique. If you've never done the bypass, unbypass, your volume should not change if you're not trying to color it.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in.
You can certainly hear its character, but it's not changing the
Trying
volume.
so hard, but you're going down in.
So that's cool. We've already started to color. I think that has a good sound to it. So now at this point, I like to sandwich in between my compressors an EQ. And this is the EQ where I may add some beauty, so to speak. And for this, I'm going to be using the, which one do I want to use today? Let's use the, the REQ6, just so you have some visual. I would probably use the SSL, but let's use this just so you can see. Now, it sounds redundant, but I'm going to throw a low filter, a high pass filter on there again, and I'm going to roll it off below 100. Not necessary, obviously, but you never know what sort of artifacts might be in there. And so we've taken out some of the ugliness. So here we're going to go coloring.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Yeah, see, we're starting to sparkle. So here we are. It's a bell, and we could actually unbell it. So let's move this, and let's use the shelf. And right around 6.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going.
Still got something squawking at me here.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going.
That compression kind of squawks, so you pull out. So I can always pull, but this is for color, and I'm going to add around 1.5.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Now we're getting
Trying
some sparkle.
so hard, but you're going down in flames.
It's great. All right. For the sake of time, let's assume that I nailed it. That's a pretty good chain going right here. So let's do a little before and after. We'll bypass all this.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
A lot more presence and a really good start. This track is very...
Trying so hard, but...
Okay, so let's assume that's perfect. Now let's add a little bit of effects. Let's set up some auxes here real quick. So in Logic, it's simple. It's easy in Pro Tools, but Pro Tools requires another step or two. But the concept is the same. So let's set up, let's route 3 buses. No, yeah. So we'll do, well, we have a Vox verb set up already, so that's cool. And let's also do bus 6, which is nothing at the moment. and bus 7. And so when you do that, it'll actually create the buses for you. So and let's call bus 6. Let's call this long delay, and let's call the other one short. Oops. Short delay, and where's the other one? Vox verb should be there already somewhere. Yeah, it's in blue. And I like to do that too. Color code everything so that we know what's going on. If you highlight the track and hit Option C, it'll bring up your color palette. So the blues are my returns. And for my long delay, I'm going to be using kind of my go-to for that, and that is H delay by Waves. Very good plugin for delays. And I'm going to use a mono delay for my long delay. No, that's silly. Let's not do that. As you can see, I'm making decisions on the fly here. I actually don't want to do that. Let's use a stereo delay. And for my short delay, we will let's change this to let's just use a tape delay from Logic. Why not? And for my verb, I have true verb set up. Okay, so let's set these to nominal, and we'll figure out how much we're going to be sending. So first, for my long delay, this is where the art form of mixing a vocal really comes in. It's when to send maybe certain words you want to have a longer delay. The tape delay, the short little slap back, is going to be pretty much consistent throughout the take. So here we have kind of a, let's just start with a preset here. That's bus 7, so let's come over here and we'll turn up bus 7 and see what we got.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flame.
Well, that's interesting. I want to get my verb going on too. I like to use some pre-delay on my verbs, so that it, and as you can see, I do have some pre-delay. The delay, think of pre-delay like this, at least when you're dealing with vocal. If you're talking next, if you're standing in front of me and I'm talking to you, but we're in a huge room, okay? You hear my dry voice. You hear me because I'm standing right there by you. But then you also hear my voice as it goes around the room. But you hear me first, very dry. So that's what pre-delay is. That's what you're hearing first, is the first part. Then you hear the decay of the room and everything. So that's probably the best way I can describe it. Let's turn up the reverb a little bit.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Cool. You know, I'm trying to save time. This is really where a lot of tweaking would come in. Let's go set up a ping pong for my stereo. I'm going to put it on the lo-fi host, and we're going to make these quarter notes. And let's trim my feedback here.
Trying so hard, but you're...
And let's turn up that send.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Okay, cool. That's a good start. I'm going to be running out of time here, so the last thing I wanted to show you is part of the first thing that I set up, which was this robotic voice, right?
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
And it sounds weird, but what I want to do is on it itself, I don't necessarily need to send it. I could send it to the same reverb and stuff.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
But what I want to do is I want to set up some sort of, weird modulation type thing on it. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the doubler on there from Waves. And this is spread out pretty good. I'm going to bring these a little tighter here.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in
I
flames.
skipped a step. 2 steps. First, I want to EQ it very differently. So we'll just use the channel EQ again. And I want to bring down the, get rid of a lot of the low. And I also want to boost just a bit of mid-range at this point. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to compress the heck out of it. Oh, you know what I forgot to do down here is add my LA to it. I knew I was missing something. I talked about the sandwich and then I left off a piece of the bread. Let's go back to that for just a second.
Trying so hard.
As you can see, it's pre-baked really good. So this is back to the lead vocal, by the way. My peak reduction doesn't need to be slamming it.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
And I'm sending signal into the LA2A too hot. So we need to bring down the output of the, as you can see, I'm clipping because I've boosted this. So it's added some volume. So let's bring it down.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
And now
Trying so hard, but you're...
See, I'm only knocking off about 5-6 dB at the most, averaging 1-2. And this compressor gives a lot of really nice texture.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
It just
Trying
gives
so hard, but you're going down in flames.
it gives it that oomph, you know, kind of sets in the mix really nicely. I'm sorry I skipped that. That's so important. I thought it was sounding weird too. Anyway, and like I said, I'm running out of time. So then on the channel EQ here, I've boosted just a little mid-range, and I'm scooping out a lot of the bottom there. And also I want to slam it. Slam it. And a good compressor for slamming it is the LA76. Pro Tools has the BF76, which is a knockoff of it. But you can actually get similar circuit emulations with the compressor in Logic too.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
You can see it's slamming
Trying
it.
so hard,
That's what I want.
You're going down
I want a higher
in
ratio.
flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
So it's just this steady, when you're doing that, you're killing all of its dynamic range, right? So it's just this constant volume. It's this constant level of the affected sound, which is this robotic, doubled, kind of interesting sound that I'm going to blend together with the drier original. Now, once I get that going, one more plugin that's kind of fun to use for this is there's a one knob. If you've never used one knobs, they're pretty cool, and it's called Wetter. And I like to just give it a little color with that. It just adds like some chorus and reverb and whatnot.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
And then for syncopation reasons, I may add the same kind of delay sends that I had for the previous takes. And excuse me, the original take, just maybe not send as much. And then once I have these effects, then I'm going to go in and EQ it again. And it's weird, I'm going to actually boost the high end while cutting the high end. And to you guys out there who know anything about audio, the only one of the only real plugins that lets you do that is a Pultec. And so I'm going to do that with the Pultec, the Puig Tech, which is an emulation of it. And so what you can do here is, oh, I loaded the wrong one, which is always fun. you can actually boost and attenuate the exact same frequency, but it really does send. It has different curves, so it actually sounds quite interesting. Here we go. So you boost, attenuate. So here I can set which frequencies I want to do it. I can set the bandwidth. So here's high frequencies, and I'm gonna start it at like 8K because I want some of that air. And I'm actually gonna boost.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Quite a bit and
Trying
attenuate.
so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so
That sounds
hard,
really
but you're
cool.
going down in flames.
See if I'll bring it out.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
I only want to attenuate a little bit of it.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but
And then I'm gonna also attenuate 100 below, even though there's nothing really there.
trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
Yeah, it's a sharp bandwidth. That's the Q, right? So maybe I'll kind of level that out.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
You see how light that sounds?
Trying so hard, but you're going down.
That is an amazing plugin, you guys. And then two things that I didn't add was some de-essing. I'm not going to get into that, but you'd want to de-ess these. You can hear those try and those sibilants. They're kind of getting a little sharp now that we've added this processing. So now what we want to do is blend those faders up to taste here. This fader.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames.
So it acts as like a vocal double. Then the double is doubled, so it really thickens it up. And it also kind of acts as like an exciter. It excites the signal. It really starts to sound cool.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flame.
You know, I just kind of ran with that idea. This is something new. Let's bring it into the mix here and see how this is doing.
Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're going down in flames. Trying so hard, but you're
And then we can play with our feedback. No, those are set. What I mean is the sends.
Playing your part, losing all the games.
Those long delays sound cool.
Taking your heart, loving all the pain.
Yeah, that is a really good start. This video is probably 6 hours long, so you're either asleep or you've turned it off. But if you've gotten this far, we have a really good start. Vocals are the most challenging thing to mix. And it's because so much goes into it, and it's because everybody can immediately tell basically if they like a song or not by the vocal. A lot of other things go into a great song, but if a vocal is not good, nobody's going to like it. Now, Logic Pro X does introduce a lot of really cool things, one of which is smart controls, which I'm not going to get into now, but basically you can affect the send levels and different parameters within each and every plugin with these settings here on these what are called smart controls, and you can map all this and all that's really cool. So then what we could do is we could make sure that I have the appropriate mapping, and I can dial in all of these things to get the best sound possible. Obviously the instruments need to be mixed and all that stuff, but you get an idea for my kind of workflow. Now a lot of you guys, I have some friends who say, Michael, you have more plugins in these two channels than I use in an entire mix. And to them I say, you're a minimalist, but yeah, you're probably right. This is an extreme amount of processing. But if you have the CPU power, I don't think I did anything that wasn't that didn't help. I'm not adding compression for the sake of adding compression or adding EQ just for the sake of it. Could you cut and boost with the same EQ? Yeah, of course you can. I just like to do it at different stages, and I think I explained those reasons pretty well. If you have, like I said, if you have the CPU power that can handle the different EQs at different times in the signal path, go for it. Experiment. These are things that work for me. If you don't have things like the LA2A or the Renaissance EQ or the Pultec, which as I showed, it sounds really cool. If you don't have some of these, I understand that these bundles are expensive. That's okay. First, um, learn how to use the ones that come with whatever DAW you're using, and know not only just how to use them, but why they work the way that they work, why each setting does what it does. A threshold on a compressor is a threshold on a compressor. The knob may look different, maybe a potentiometer, maybe a fader, depending on the style of the interface, but a threshold is a threshold. Know what a threshold means and what it does. Know what a low pass and high pass filter do. You have to know all of these things. And most importantly, at least in terms of EQ, know what these frequencies sound like. You should be able to listen to something and immediately say, you know what, there's a little 500 hertz sticking out at me. Or maybe you don't know, oh, it's 503 hertz. I mean, let's not be absurd. But you should know the general range of where things are, what you're hearing. You should know what you're hearing, and that way you can pinpoint frequencies when they're a problem, and also color your tracks with the appropriate frequencies when you're boosting. Um, Melodyne, I think it's a great plugin to have. The interface is very intuitive and great. But like I mentioned before too, Logic Pro X has built-in pitch correction capabilities, and although it's not as extensive as Melodyne, it sure does do the job pretty darn well. There's a lot of videos on the internet showing how to use that. So if you can get Logic Pro X for $200, you're well on your way. Their stock plugins are amazing, and as our Pro Tools, and I do a lot of my work in Pro Tools. Um, so um, I hope that this video really inspired you to do some things and maybe think about things in a way that you hadn't before, and that I hope that you can adopt those ideas and bring them into your own mixes. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a line below. Thin automation, let me know about that for Logic, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. Happy mixing.